Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Spark Faith podcast. I am Dr. Chris Sargent, and yes, it's been a minute, and I have been on a health journey of my own, and I am back, happy to say. And today I have brought some serious energy, not only my own, as you are used to, but also an amazing single mom turned incredibly successful real estate person, broker, the whole jam. She loves superheroes, and I think her favorite superhero might be Jesus. However, she's had a success in her health journey, her career, raising two kids, like love the whole thing. I am so excited to have Nikki Watts with me today. Nikki, welcome to the
Thanks. Good
podcast.
morning. Oh my gosh. I listen, you're making me sound a lot cooler than I am, but I appreciate that so much. So
No, you are super cool, and I do not have a cool factor, so I have to bring it on. Or at least my kids tell me that. I don't know. Maybe your kids think you're cool.
Yeah, no, my kids don't think I'm cool either. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's funny. So Nikki, tell me a little bit about your story. I mean, I was amazed when you told me how you ended up as a single mom, and then just how your life progressed from there.
Yeah.
Y'all, this is super inspiring. So hang, because your mind is going to be absolutely blown by her story. So yeah, go ahead, tell us a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I can start out by, I was born and raised small town West Tennessee. I had always, you remember those shows on HGTV, and they're still on sometimes, where it's like, they go in there and they find these old houses, they flip them, they do all this, and they make it look all so incredibly easy, right? So that is something that I've always really had just a passion for, and I just never really could figure out how to do it, right? So I decided I was gonna, blow that popsicle stand, get out of West Tennessee, woo woo, go to the big time, go to Nashville, which was absolutely culture shock for me. And granted, this was 15 years ago, back before Nashville really was Nashville, but it was still, the town that I came from didn't even have a stoplight in it. We had gravel roads until I was in high school. Like, it was podunk. Love it, but it was podunk. Okay. So moved to Nashville, big city dreams, all these big things. I decided to go to college for interior design and architecture, because I thought, okay, well, that's the way, everybody that's anything has to go to college, right? More on that later. But so I was in college, and I decided, I said, you know what, this is not really working for me. This is not who I am. I'm admittedly not a good student in a traditional classroom. I'm just not. And so I said, okay, well, we'll kind of pursue something else. We'll kind of bob and weave here. So as I was in the middle of transferring into a different school, I found out I was pregnant with my oldest son. So I was 19 years old. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is great. This is fine. Everything will be fine. And I had a very rocky relationship with his dad, and we kind of reconciled after he was born. Right back on track, big happy family, right? Well, then our second son was born, and we ended up getting married, which that's a whole nother funny story for another day. But we had a just a tough marriage for several years, and it ended up ending due to infidelity, drug use, just a lot of different things that I found out. So next thing I know, I'm a single mom with a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I said, this is not going to work out for me. I don't know what I need to do, but I need to do something different. So I'd actually moved back home to West Tennessee with him, moved back up here to the Nashville area, and I started working for State Farm, and I loved it. I really liked it. The good Lord gave me the gift of gab. That's for sure. You know that to be true. I never was a stranger. And one of the things my agent told me before I got the job, he said, okay, well, I'm going to give you this list, and if you bring me back 100 names of people that you can call whenever you get hired, I'll hire you. And I said, okay, cool. Because I said, well, what else do I have to do? I've only got a couple of days here and there where I've got a babysitter. I didn't know anybody up here. I was like, I really need to take advantage of these days. So I went to every business on the strip there, and talked to every single person I can get a hold of. I went into the Walmart. I actually got kicked out of Walmart because I stood at the door and asked everybody that came in if I could write their insurance for them. And I went to 100 names that day and took it back to my agent. And that was kind of the start of this story. Because I mean, as I was just defeated. I felt like I had really screwed up my life before it had ever started. And I felt like that I didn't have any idea of how to be an adult or what I needed to do or anything. And mind you, I never grew up in church. I never grew up with a relationship with God whatsoever. So I just felt really lost. I felt like that I didn't have a purpose. And I didn't really know how to get started. So the only thing that I knew how to do was work. So I said, okay, I'll just work till I figure it out. And I was in my early 20s at the time, and worked for State Farm for a while. And actually, I had gotten offered a great job with a bank that my mom had used to work at. So I was like, okay, this is cool. This has got benefits. Adults love benefits. This is great, right? So at this time, I'm working for the bank. I'd been there for a while, got a couple of promotions, really enjoyed it there. I met a lot of cool people, really learned a lot of cool skills that I'm still using today. And, but I still was not fulfilled. There was just still something missing. And mind you, go ahead.
No, I'm going to stop you in just a second, but yeah, go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I was single this entire time. So I thought, well, maybe I should start dating. And then I quickly said, no, I shouldn't start dating. These people are idiots. I don't want to date anybody. And so that was not a thing. And, a good friend of mine that I worked with at State Farm and my mom had actually started going to the same church. So they drug me just kicking and screaming into church on New Year's Eve, 2017. And that's whenever my life just absolutely did a 180.
That's so cool. And I'm going to stop you there just to pause, because I think that you said so many amazing things about when you went to work at State Farm. Like, even though she was feeling defeated, she found 100 names. Like, any of us who are in sales, any of us who have been in business for ourselves for a long time, like, that's an incredible feat to do in just a few hours in an afternoon or in a day, right? If you've moved to someplace else, like I'm new to Tennessee, right? And, starting Mary Kay and don't really know a ton of people, like, that's like, people, you went out of the box and just did it anyway, even if it might have been a little uncomfortable, but it probably wasn't for you based on your personality. But you had nothing to lose.
That's exactly what it was. It was like, I can either go back home or like, I was living with my mom temporarily whenever I moved back up here, because I'd left my ex-husband, and I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anything to do. And I moved in with my mom, and I said, I can go back to my mom's house and cry and eat Girl Scout cookies, or I can figure something out, And I said, I just got to figure something out. And I think whatever you get, it's almost like just an insane sense of desperation and a refusal to take a no. And, I think that a blessing and a curse of something else that I have is I'm extremely stubborn. And I think that that's kind of what led into it. And, it was one of the best days and the worst days of my life, because I mean, like, I got 100 names, but I probably got 100 no's too. So.
But that's okay. I mean, we all know that it's just hitting people at the right minute. You may have gotten 100 no's, but eventually some of those people probably came around or didn't come around, whatever. But I think that this idea of nothing to lose actually goes beyond even when we feel defeated. Like, it can just be like, hey, you know what? I'm super scared about reaching out. Like, some people know that about me. Like, that's a challenge for me. I'm much more of an introvert. But honestly, I have nothing to lose by doing that. And that's something that I've recently adopted. Like, I really don't. There's nothing is going to happen to me. I'm not going to fall into some pit. I'm not going to die. None of that talking to humans is going to kill me. for, in general.
Well, and I think too, I had kind of an epiphany last night of kind of the same concept of whenever you, I think, and it's a lot easier said than done, don't get me wrong, but whenever you kind of take the focus
Word.
away from yourself and put it on somebody else, that's really what kind of makes it easier. It's almost like it's for me, it's almost like an out of body experience. Like it truly is. It's like how am I able to do that? But it's like it's not really me. It's just like I'm saying, okay, I was put here to help people. I was put here to do this. If I go up to God, and I'm in heaven one day, hanging out, doing the
Woot
thing,
woot.
and he's like, hey, why didn't you help all these people? If I'm like, well, I'm scared, like I just hear him saying, I gave you everything that you needed. I gave you the tools. I gave you the ability. I put the people in front of you. I literally done everything for you. Stop thinking about yourself. Don't make it about you. It's about the other person.
Oh,
And whenever that thought hit me, I said, "Oh my gosh! Like it is time to stop living small. It just is. It's selfish to live small. It just truly is."
it really is. And God has such an amazing way of cornering us so that
Right.
we have to get to that place where, okay, I don't know how this is going to all work out. I don't understand what you're doing here, but I know that I have to get out of my own way, right? Like we corner ourselves and then put up the barrier, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and when we can get out of our head and stop thinking about what all of the things, right? We think about what other people are going to think about me and what they're going to do about me. And well, how am I going to look to them? How am I going to look to them? Like that will put you in a cage faster than anything else. It's serving,
Absolutely.
serving, serving, loving other people, and just keep that as the forward front. And it's so easy,
And
right?
another
The
comforting
flow.
thought too is that, anybody that there are going to be people out there that are going to judge you. That's just to be accepted. But those people are not your people. Those people are not,
Not your tribe.
they're on their own path. They're on their
Yes,
own
ma'am.
journey. That's it. They are not your responsibility or your job or whatever. Just all right, have a great day, love you, bye, and then move on with your life. And it's a lot easier. That's a lot easier said than done too, because I'm one of those people that thinks that I have to have the last word in on everything. And so that's been really difficult to overcome too, but it's the truth. It truly is. You can't be everything to everybody, so let them go out and find their own people in their own tribe, and you move on with your life.
You know what? You just brought up another, and then I want to get to your New Year's Eve and what happened after that, because
Yeah.
y'all, it's amazing what happened. It's amazing. Like you think she's amazing now. Wait, just wait.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
interesting you said that, like you have to be right all the time. I mean, I think we all struggle with that need to be right because it makes us feel more secure about ourselves or whatever that is for us, right? Like it's our ego, it's our pride, it's all of those things, right? But there's this concept of I can be right or I can be loved or I can be right or have a relationship,
Right. That's an
right?
interesting point.
So
That doesn't have to be one or the other.
it does, you know what, it's you can be right and have a relationship, or but you can also step back and go, you know what, I choose the relationship. I choose to love instead of my own pride and ego of the need to be right. I choose to love. Now I realize that can go so far as to being like walked on and taken advantage of. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in a healthy relationship, you can choose to be right or you can choose the relationship over your ego.
Right. No, I totally agree. And that's something too that, you know, I think that a lot of people I picked up that habit from being in a super toxic marriage. And now, not to spoil the ending or anything, but now I have this sweet, wonderful guy who I constantly find myself putting up these barriers for no reason other than my past trauma. So it's like, you have to find somebody that's mutually respected or respectful of the relationship and able to do that same thing. But you're absolutely right. Whenever you can find that harmony and you can, I'm an Aries, so it's hard for me to be wrong anyway, but it really is just so important to find that, not just in romantic relationships, but like friendships and even a relationship with yourself too. I feel like, just having that moment to sit back and say, hey, I was wrong, but that doesn't necessarily make me the worst person in the entire world. How can I learn from this and move on?
Yep, there's definitely a difference between being I'm wrong and or I'm wrong, I made these decisions, or my decisions were wrong, versus I'm wrong, I'm bad. Right? That's the
Right.
difference between guilt and shame. Shame is
Right.
the I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm not supposed to be here. That
Right.
piece. So let's go ahead. I want you to go ahead and jump into your New Year's Eve story, because I'm telling y'all, this is
It's, every time I think about it, it seems so surreal. Like it was my life and it doesn't feel like it's real. A lot of times I look back on it and I'm like, how in the world did that happen? That is so insane. But and it was so it was my youngest son's birthday. God love him. He's almost a Christmas baby. And so we had to have his birthday on New Year's Eve one year. And my friend and my mom, of course, were all there, and they were like, "Hey, we've got service. You should come be a part of it. Just check it out. Just see it. If you don't like it, we'll shut up and never bother you about it again."
fair.
Fine, okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of that I think goes back to, my childhood. Again, I never grew up in church. The only idea of churchgoers that I had was like judgmental, bad, and I had this fear of, I'm a divorced single mom. I have tattoos. I cuss. I drink. I do all these things. They're not gonna want me. They're not gonna want anything to do with me. And so it was more of like this weird ideology that I had around Christians and the church and all that, because of what I had seen previously. Now that's not the case, come to find out. So I go to
Not
church,
every
and
church.
yeah, I go to church, and I'm not kidding you. I walk in, I didn't know any of these people from Adam, and I walked out of there. You'd asked me to kind of describe this feeling, and I don't know that I can in words. I truly don't know that I can.
Understand that.
It was like getting hit with a ton of bricks and having a weight
Yep.
lifted off of me all at the same time. It was the most,
That's a perfect visual, Nikki.
it really was. And
Yeah.
because I walked out of there, this was pre-COVID. So there wasn't a single person that did not give me a hug on my way out. And
That's
I'd
amazing.
known them for an hour. And they loved my boys, and they loved me and my situation, and no matter what. And like I said, that was New Year's Eve 2017, and I had made a commitment right then. I said, okay, this is what I have been missing. This is what was not there for my entire life. This is what, I feel like I've been called for. This is it. I'd never been so sure of anything in my life. And within a few months, I had actually been able to purchase my first home on my own. Single mom, no help, no nothing. I don't think it was a coincidence myself. So, I was able to buy my first home. I got another promotion at work, to which I immediately actually got into real estate. I started real estate investing with the friend that brought me to church. And, I just kept having all of these like realizations that, everything is so much bigger than me. It's not about, me just trying to get through this life and me just trying to do so much and me trying to raise these kids. Like, what can I do to better serve everybody else? I finally got the capacity to where I can take care of myself and my kids. What can I do for others? And that eventually led me into real estate, which is a whole nother thing. I can't help but think too that was all in God's perfect timing, because again, I just have to go back and think about it. I was by myself. I was a single mom. I had 2 young kids. And I had gotten into real estate in 2019. I actually gave my boss like a 4-month notice so that I could train my replacement. I felt awful leaving. I really did. I really had so much like internal trauma and issue with leaving. And whenever I left, I said, okay, this is it. I've saved up my money. I'm ready to jump in. And I did. And, we all know that next spring COVID hit, which had I still have been at the bank didn't close, but schools closed. I don't have any family up here. I didn't have anybody to be able to watch my
Right.
kids. So, just to be able to still work and take care of my kids at home and school and, get them through they went through mom's school for a couple of months. God love them. They probably still have that recovery from that. But, the fact that I was able to do that, like, I really just truly credit that to God's timing and him knowing that that's what was going to happen, and him kind of, keeping on pushing me to make this move. And if I hadn't have done that, I don't know where I would have been now. So I'm just thankful that, he is so committed to my stubborn behind to get me to do things. So
Well, Nikki, I hope first of all, I hope y'all can see and feel her flow just in the way that she just takes her faith and just walks it out. Like, nope, we're going. Like, no holds barred, right? Like, just we're going. Because that's how I see you anyway. And it's always inspirational to talk to you. I feel like so many people, and we can talk on this for just a second. A lot of people feel judged by the Christian church.
sure.
And I love that you said what you said about, like, I cuss, I drink, I have tattoos. Like, those are all the things that a lot of people are afraid of when they walk into Christianity. And not all churches are the same. You're right. That's true. You found a very grace-filled church, and this unconditional love just flows through you, Nikki.
It really does. And I think a lot of that is because, I was shown so much grace whenever I didn't feel like that I deserved it, not only by, all of these people, but by God too. And because, I mean, it was kind of, I almost felt like we had like an estranged relationship because I never really knew. I always kind of knew the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm supposed to do this, but I don't really know how. So, it was kind of like, whenever I did start really pursuing that relationship, I was afraid. I was afraid that it would be like I would have to jump through all these hoops and I would have to prove my worth and I
Mm.
would have to really change a lot of things, which I did have to change a lot of things about my life, but I felt like I wasn't good enough in that moment. And I've come to find out that's absolutely not true. I've never felt closer to God than whenever I was at my absolute lowest. And I don't we don't have to earn his love. We don't have to earn his grace. We don't have to earn any of that. We already have it. We just have to accept it. And I think that was something very, very powerful for me to realize and to finally come to terms with. And like I said, it just changed my life whenever I was able to really just accept that.
Yeah, because you even said, like, I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to work. So,
Right.
and I certainly connect with that as a recovering workaholic myself. And this need to work for our salvation, or this need to work for God's love, is kind of ingrained, right? It just kind of gets like, well, I have to earn $1, so I probably have to earn love too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Also, I think you seem to have shifted from maybe some self-loathing to some to self-love, but because of grace, because you could take all of what you felt like were maybe poor decisions, defeated, right? Like, I'm 23, I have or 24, I have two little tiny kids, I'm single, what the heck was I thinking? Like, all of those things, but you just like, no, Jesus, for like, he took all of that, right?
Right. And I think that that's been part of my mission and something that I've really felt has been laid on my heart and something that I try to implement in my real estate business as well is that, I during that time I never had anybody that came to me and just said, "Hey, listen, everything's going to be okay. God loves you just how you are. Here's kind of being a light almost." And that's something that I've really tried to be and to do for other people. We're fortunate enough we're here in Dixon, just about 30 minutes or so west of Nashville. But we have all of these volunteer activities and all these community service activities and things like that where I've been fortunate enough to be able to share my story with others. And part of it is being able to get that out there and just show people that it's possible. But then whenever I actually see it in action, it's incredible. I mean, I've had single moms that have come to me just at their absolute lowest, and I said, "Hey, listen, if I can figure it out, you can figure it out." And then they do, and then they're in their own home and they're going back, and it just multiplies this servant's heart to these other
Oh,
people. And that's really what it's about. It truly is, because I'm like, that person has gone on and now she's a light, and then she's going to affect this person and that person, and it just multiplies. And I think that if we can all kind of take that and do something every single day to just be a light to somebody else, it there's no telling what could be done, what could be possible.
uh, I totally agree. And y'all, I hope you are so inspired by Nikki's story and just like, hey, what can you do for somebody today? What can you do? What one little thing? Are you going to buy somebody a cup of coffee? Are you like, what is the one? Can you bring in your neighbor's garbage cans? Like, what is it that you can do? Something super simple. It doesn't even have to cost anything. It
Yeah.
can just be opening a door for somebody and saying hello with a smile, right? Like what can we do to bring a lot more light to this world? I think that that's amazing. So we're going to talk, let's talk a minute or a few minutes maybe about your TikTok fame and
Oh,
superheroes, because y'all, this
so,
is such a fun story. And like, it's just a facet of her that just makes you go, what? How does
it's
that happen in this
so weird.
woman?
It's so funny. So,
Go for it. Tell us the
oh my
story.
gosh, I don't even know where. Well, so this was also COVID inspired. So of course I'm sitting at home with my two kids who, I love more than anything, but there was only so much. My youngest one was in kindergarten. Yeah. So I was trying, the good Lord did not grace me with a teacher's heart. I'm dating a teacher. I don't know how in the world he does it, because I'm not it. So here I am trying to teach my youngest how to read, trying to teach my oldest how to, multiply and all this. And I just had enough. So I said, okay, during this time of day, this is where you guys get to go watch TV. Aren't you so excited? And I'm going to go over here and do TikTok. Because I felt like it was like really my only outlet into the world. Because again, I had not been in Dixon that long. I didn't really know anybody at that time. So I felt like this was my only kind of outlet to interact with other adults. And so I get started on
TikTok, y'all.
TikTok. Yeah, it was so funny, and it seems like a lot of other people did that. And I, so I have a fascination with Marvel. I'm absolutely obsessed with Marvel. I have been since I was a kid. I have a Marvel tattoo, which is actually what kind of led to my Facebook, or my TikTok videos going viral, is showing this tattoo. And ever since then, I've just said, hey, okay, well, that can be my niche, right? I can just do all these Marvel TikToks. And I did. And so my following just kept growing and growing and growing. And now it's actually a source of income for me. And I get real estate leads from it, not because I do a whole lot of real estate content, but because I find these other Marvel followers that they're like, hey, that's awesome. I want a realtor that's in a Marvel too. And it's just hilarious how that it's happened. So, but it's been great. It's a creative outlet for me. I enjoy doing it, and now it's a source of income. So I am very thankful for that too.
Oh my goodness, that's so hilarious. I love that story. I think for all of my single moms and my business people out there, my business ladies that listen, like, this is like personal branding 101 on fire, right? Like, you just took what you loved and was having fun with, and because of that it exploded. Not because you were trying to fit into somebody else's box. You were just using what your God-given gifts and talents and said, hey, you know what? I know about XYZ. Let's do this. And it's fun. And people see that joy, I think.
I think so too. And I've noticed it on people that I follow as well, is that it's that authenticity. People know authenticity.
Yes.
And I was actually listening to another podcast this morning, which was talking about how we have two radars that can kind of tell whenever somebody's being authentic. You have your brain, you have your gut, right? So it kind of,
Yes.
whenever you have those feelings, you just know. It's just an intuition. You just know. And I think the more that you just be yourself, the more that you do what you love, and just don't care as much what anybody else thinks, like, the happier you're going to be, and you're going to attract more of your people. I just truly believe that.
I agree. And that goes for friendships. You don't have to be in business for that. Like, that goes for
Yeah,
friendships. Just go do, or dating even, right? Like, if you love Marvel comics, then go to Comic Con. You're
yeah,
going to find your woman there or your man there. Like, if those are the things you like, go play tennis or pickleball or what, all those things. Like, find your people in your value system. Like, if you're
right.
not a big drinker, then why are you hanging out at the bars? And actually, Jay Shetty just said that on his podcast with Ed Milet, which
I
was
love
an
him.
amazing podcast. I'm going to
Yeah.
throw that out there. Whoa. But just like, what's your value system, which is exactly what you did. Like, your part of who you are, Nikki, is just super authentic. And I think that that's why we connected so well. Okay. So health journey.
Yes, this is all thanks to you. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
I did not.
this is you. Now, don't you? Yeah, this is all you. It is on. Listen, if it wasn't for you, I'm, and that's something else that's so funny too. It's like now that you've whipped me into shape, I just can't imagine going back to how I was before, and I thought I was happy then. I thought that I was content and healthy then. And, just the transition over what, 3 or 4 months? How long has it
It's
been?
only been about 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not been that long. And I think part of it was like, oh my gosh, that's so much time. It's going to be a year, blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is, and this is something I tell my clients all the time too, is like the time is going to pass whether you're doing anything with it or not. You might as well get up and be productive with it, right? So,
100%.
again, I think it was divine intervention that we met through our sweet friend Allison. And I'm just so thankful because, you know, I like I said, I didn't realize what all that I needed. And ever since then, just this total, I mean, the gut reset, the getting my priorities straight, the getting back to working out, drinking water. I'm sitting here. You've seen my hilariously large water bottle that I carry around with me everywhere. That's like a staple of
Yes,
mine.
ma'am.
So, but just I feel like if you feel better, you're able to perform better, you're able to think better, and I'm truly seeing that in action myself now. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
All right, y'all. She just said it. She said the thing that is like the heart of my entire mission is when we are healthy, we can serve better. When we are more healthy, we can serve better. We can hear the Holy Spirit, right? It's for me, it's how are you ever going to hear from the Holy Spirit if you're in a sugar coma?
Amen. Amen. And
Right?
that's so funny too, because I think it was almost like, I have a salt tooth too, unlike any other.
Oh, well, yeah,
And
that way too.
well, and but it's like, that was almost like a crutch for me. Whereas instead of like, sitting in my feelings and listening to them and figuring out what I actually needed, I was like, let me go get some of these pretzels, and it's like, that's really what I think that it was about. And I finally had the clarity to understand that and to feel better. And now, I'm able to, I mean, I coached my boys' ball teams for 2 years. And, over the past couple of years, I wasn't really able to get up and go with them. I was exhausted. And I'm like, I'm only 30. This should not be happening yet. And
Should
so,
not be happening ever. I'm 59.
yeah,
It doesn't have to happen. Almost 59. It
exactly.
does not have to
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah. And I think just getting a hold of it now, I'm going to be able to be there for my kids longer and my grandkids and, even great grandkids if God sees fit. That just, being able to be around and be healthy and be able to enjoy life is so important to me. And it's so important, like you said too, to be able to feel my best so that I can do my best and I can serve others. Because if I feel like crap, I can't help anybody else either. So
Oh, thank you. You're seriously singing it. And y'all, I want you to understand, like she started this crazy single journey like 6 or 7 years ago. That's not even a decade. It's such a short period of time in our life. And it's just been a complete 180-degree turn to the other direction, and where she was and where she is now. I mean, it's really, I hope you're all are so inspired. I'm super inspired by her. So food as a distraction, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And
From
it's,
your emotions, because that's what you
yes,
said.
it's like, yeah. And like we talked about the other day with the happy plate with the boys, like we've always been taught. And I think part of that comes from the lack mindset of my own that I had growing up too. And just this real small town, it's like, you don't waste anything. So if it's on your plate, you got to eat it. And, thanks to that was a conversation that I have with my kids where I was able to break that cycle too and say, hey, listen, if you're full, you're full, which I have 2 preteen boys, so I don't think they're ever full.
They're never full.
It's that was just a really eye-opening moment for me, is that, hey, you know what, it's okay. I have a dog that loves leftovers. It's fine. Like all this is fine. I don't have to clean that plate. Whenever I'm full, I'm full. Whenever my body tells me I'm full, I have to trust it. And it's not this like poverty lack mindset that I have to keep taking with me. I can break that cycle and be done with it. And I have been, and it has really, it's changed. It's changed a lot of aspects of my life too.
Well, I'll tell you, Nikki, you're super coachable, and that's what I mean. You've just been, it's been a joy to coach you. So I thank you and thank you for all of that. You're amazing. And then I'm sure you all are wondering because she's already dropped a couple hints that this singleness that she kind of like was like, you know, to heck with all that. I'm just going to be single forever. And yeah, I can kind of understand that. Um, right? Um, but now,
Oh
so
my
tell
gosh,
us how
it
you
is
met. Tell us a little bit of the story, and
it
it's
is so hilarious. Like you can't tell me that God doesn't have a sense of humor, truly.
total sense of
And
humor, right?
really, and it's so funny because like I said, I spent, gosh, 4 years. Like I said, I had left my ex-husband Christmas 2015. Gosh, it took me almost 2 years to get my divorce finalized. That was a whole disaster. But I was single through that. I was single through the next 2 years. I had tried to date around some, and it wasn't doing anything for me, to be completely honest. And so again, I just kind of adopted. I was like, all right, I'm going to be single forever. Well, then again, COVID hit right around the time that I decided to try to get back out there, and it was just not working for me whatsoever. And another, it's actually so funny. Another kind of hobby that I had picked up during COVID was that I decided that I was going to research local cool historic places because we're surrounded by them here, right?
Yeah, we
One of the
are.
ones I was looking for was there was an old resort. And are you familiar with Bon Aqua?
No, I'm not, but I'm new here, so some people
I'll
may
tell you
be.
that
And
story some other time. But there was a hot spring in Bon Aqua where people would come from miles, miles, miles and stay at this resort, right? So I was just
I want to
infatuated with it.
go.
That's what I said. This was like back in like the 1800s or so, right? So I'm like, okay, I have to find this. This is so cool. And so I get on this local Facebook site about historic Dixon County, and I just post the question. I said, hey, um, looking for some information on this. Do you guys have any insight? I'm a local realtor. I'm just trying to do like a video series of these cool local places. Can somebody help me out? Well, here slides my sweet Justin, my boyfriend, into the DMs, and he says, "Hey, I know all about that place." And it's just kind of been history from there. Our first couple of dates were actually going and exploring these places because, of course, we couldn't go to eat. We couldn't do a whole lot of things because COVID, everything was closed down. So we go out and we see all these things, and it's kind of funny because I remember just being so irritated whenever I was trying to date, because I said, you know what, whenever I do date somebody, it's got to be somebody older and somebody that's never had kids, never been married, and that's just brand new for me. That's all I'm going to accept. What do I get? Older guy, never been married, no kids. He's got a great family. He's got everything that I wanted, and it did. We had kind of a bumpy beginning because I wasn't really ready to accept that the truest
Love.
form of love that a human can give. I just wasn't. I didn't feel like it was kind of the same thing, right? That I didn't feel like I deserved it. I didn't feel like that I'd earned it. I didn't feel like that this could really be true, right? And so we took a short break from each other, and I always, I forget who said the quote, but if you love someone, let them go, and if they come
Set them
back, they're
free.
yours. And that's exactly what happened, and we've been together ever since. And my kid's dad is not in their lives. He doesn't have anything to do with them. And honestly, on one end that's kind of sad, on the other end it's the best thing he could have ever done for him. So now Justin's able to be that father figure for them. He's literally the kindest, sweetest, most patient person I have ever met in my entire life. Like I said, he's a teacher, so he's got to be. I don't know how he does it. God love him. But he really is, and he was absolutely worth that wait. He's worth everything that I went through to bring me up to this point, and I'm just so thankful. And I think that kind of speaking that into existence for anybody that is single right now, that doesn't want to be single forever, put it out there. Tell God what you want. I want this, I want that, I want blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's kind of funny. My parents always make fun of me too, because I kind of went for the whole bad boy persona before. And now I have this sweet little clean cut teacher, and it's funny. So be open to that. But truly, it's like I put my order in, and here he came. And I'm just so
I
thankful.
love that.
Yeah, it's like he makes me better. So
You know, I feel like that's one of the ways that we know it, is like we love their personality, right? We can totally get behind their goals, like
sure.
just be super supportive of their goals. And we understand and respect their value system, even though it might be a little bit different than ours. We still respect what they love and what they're attuned to and what's important to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a Jay Shetty definition of love, just
I
to put it out there, to put it out there.
Yes, he's wonderful. I actually was listening to his podcast. I was in the car all day yesterday showing property, and I was listening to him. And Rob Dial is my other, the
I
mindset
know,
mentor.
he's
Incredible.
fantastic.
Love them.
So yeah, I just love that. I think it's interesting that you felt so undeserving of love and the way that that manifested in your life. And ladies, this is true for a lot of us, and maybe a lot of maybe some of you still, that this bad boy, who doesn't really treat you right, it feels okay to you because you're not treating yourself right. And so it
Yeah,
feels comfortable because you don't treat yourself well, you don't think well of yourself, and so why should anybody else? And when we can walk into God's love and take that on as our persona and our new self, then, and when we can really fill ourselves up with that love, then we don't have to go out there and look for this or eat that or have these negative distractions and poor habits in our life. We don't have to choose those. We can choose just loving ourselves with God. And then we shine, right? We can shine in such a different way, and we can love in a different way.
absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better. It's truly, it's almost like whenever you're not operating like that highest frequency, right? You're not really doing your best. You're not feeling your best. You just don't have the capacity to take care of yourself, let alone anybody else. And I think
So
like
true.
it really is for me. I was like, oh my gosh, whenever it finally hit me, I said, this is not only a disservice to me and my kids and everybody around me, but like the people that I'm supposed to be serving. And I think that's what really kind of jerked me out of that funk and said, hey, listen, I got to do better, not only for me, but for everybody else, my clients, for everybody. I don't, that's one of my fears still, is that I don't want to die with potential still left. Like I want to get it
Right?
all. I want to get it all out.
Yeah, I was actually journaling about wasted potential. It's like this gift curse that I see so much potential in people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately in certain people that I've dated,
Same
like,
here.
I see so much. If you could just wrap your head around how much God loves you, then then you could really flow into your entire potential and how he made you and see your strengths, right? And then grab those strengths and really just use them for all kind of good. Yeah, that's so beautiful. So beautiful. Well, Nikki, this has been amazing, as
Oh
I
my
knew
gosh.
it would be. So, is there something that we left untouched or that we didn't talk about? I have a few notes from, I mean, y'all, I talked to her for like 45 minutes yesterday and we talked about a ton of stuff. And now we've just had a whole other conversation. So, yeah, if there's anything that we might have touched on that we didn't touch on today, then I would, just go ahead and just let that flow out.
Gosh, I think, I mean, you do such a good job of just guiding conversation and doing and
Thank
just
you.
getting it all out. So thank you so much for that. I think, just being open and just being vulnerable and just letting, like, one of my favorite, I saw it on a t-shirt somewhere one time, but it said let go and
T-shirt
let God.
wisdom.
The t-shirt wisdom, that's the thing. So it really, it just said let go and let God, and that was one thing that really just drove my entire life. And I would encourage every one of you to do the same thing. Truly, yeah, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it is one of the best things I've ever done. So
Yeah, because don't you find yourself just picking that stuff back up? Oh no, I got this.
oh,
I got this
know
one.
me, you know how I am. Like, yeah, and it's just being intentional and not letting that stuff come back, right? Like not letting the enemy win, because we don't do that here. You know, and it's I feel like the closer you get with God, the more your faith builds and all that, the harder he's going to try to bring you down, right? And I think just remembering that and calling it what it is, like, this is not life happening to me, this is life happening for me, so that I can, you know, build my character and build my faith and do what I'm called to do. And, you know, whenever all these kind of crappy things happen, that's saying that I'm doing something right. I'm doing the right thing. So, like, we should keep going. And I think that that's been an important encouragement for me to remember as well.
Oh my gosh, there's so much wisdom there. Like, when our crappy things happen, because this is life, crappy things are going to happen. But when they happen, just know that it's the enemy, like, trying to trip you up. And just
Right.
go, not today.
No, sir.
That's right. Oh, I don't call him sir.
Yeah. We ain't doing that. Listen, it's my southernness coming out. I can't help it.
I know. I totally appreciate that, but he deserves all kind of 4-letter words, not sir.
Man,
Right?
that's right.
Only you. So anyway, well, thank you again so much, Nikki. And where can people find you? Because I think
Oh my
it's
gosh.
important that if you need a realtor out in the middle of nowhere, because that's kind of where she is, but she probably would go anywhere for you.
I have went, oh my gosh, I'll tell you one off some of the places that I've been. But I am licensed in all of Tennessee. Generally cover from Paris, Tennessee, all the way over to like Wilson County, Lebanon, Tennessee. But I will go wherever for my friends here in Middle Tennessee. And if you're not in Middle Tennessee, I have friends and referral partners all over the country, some in other countries too. So please let me know. I do. But yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. My phone number's plastered all over the interwebs. If you want to find me, you can find me. I promise. So.
Right. And she's Nikki, Nikki Watts, Watts. So thank you so much. I've so appreciated your time and our conversation. I absolutely adore you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all tune in. Find me on Facebook. As you know, that I have Facebook and Instagram and all the things. So like, subscribe, share, do all the things. And I will see you soon. I am back. Bye. Love y'all. Bye.